Hello, welcome to CHRO Club. Today my guest of honor is not only distinguished, but he leads a top private sector bank of India. Join me in welcoming Vinay Razdan, the CHRO of HDFC Bank. Hi Vinay, pleasure to have you at CHRO Club.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Vinay, HDFC Bank has a net worth of $145 billion and it is the third largest stock trading in Indian stock market with an employee base of over 2 lakh. As a HR leader, what flows in the backdrop of your HR practices, given that workforce strategy today is a boardroom decision and a competitive advantage for an organization like HDFC Bank?
I think it'll be not out of place to say that it's a very onerous responsibility, because having more than 200,000 people spread across the country, geographically located in thousands of locations, and all having expecting a world-class experience insofar as they as employees are concerned, is not an easy task to deliver on, right? And the way Indian market is, it's aggressive, the bank is high performance driven, and in that organization to have alignment of purpose, to have alignment of goals and objectives, it is a demanding task, there's no doubt about it. And we also try and do our best to live up to that expectation.
So, taking a cue from that, people expect a lot from a marquee organization like HDFC, so do your customers. And you have done a great job amongst your contemporaries in keeping your EX and CX aligned. So what really are the HR considerations for enhancing employee experience to further boost the customer experience?
The central part of in a distributed workforce to ensure a consistent and high quality experience has to be on the back of a very thought through technology strategy that you must have. And it starts with the fact that, how can you make things easier for people? So we invested a lot in technology. For example, in the last few years, we have a lot of our applications today, whether to apply for leave, whether to mark attendance. And I'll just highlight that a bit, because banking sector is very, very strict on attendance and all those things. And when I joined the bank 6 years back, I found that people were rushing to their desktops to open the system and log in their attendance, because before 9:30 you had to do it. Otherwise, you had to give a reason for late coming. So we did a geo-tagging of location. So within 50 meters of your location now, you can log in your attendance. So, things like that really make a difference in the lives of people. Today, we have a world-class cutting-edge learning experience system, which was originally we had signed up with Edcast, then Cornerstone took them over. And it is like absolute Amazon, Netflix kind of experience. It kind of personalizes the learnings for you. So a lot of videos will come up, a lot of interesting material will come your way. So we have invested a lot in ensuring that we upskill our people. They have ready access to the best in class training content, and so that has been hugely appreciated. Despite being such a large organization, we have ensured that it is high touch as well, because otherwise technology dependence can take you away from personal touch from people. So we have not lost sight of that. So we have bulk of our human resources team in the field, and one of their prime areas of responsibilities and accountabilities is employee connects. So whenever we do a survey on anything, they have to go back and disseminate action planning processes around that, regular sharing of information, and running lots of initiatives. For example, our supervisory architecture is on nurture, care, collaborate. So a lot of work, but in a organization like ours, expectations are high, so you have to keep working hard.
On that, when you say that there are touch points and employees can share their feedback, but often the critics tell us that even when there is a, let's say, grievance or a complaint against any manager, but if that person is important for business, he or she continues in the system and there is not much that happens. And this has also been a huge roadblock for, diversity and inclusivity. How do you deal with those situations?
I think the key to it is, and I'll tell you, all the surveys that we do at the organizational level, within functions, within teams, they are run by third party. So that's the most essential part, whether you're running your surveys internally yourself or you have third party assistants to do it for you. You see, in a large organization like this, first you have to appreciate that how will the input surface, right? It could come through the surveys that you do, or it can come through a grievance process, as you mentioned. So we have fairly well established processes where, we have in a banking, for example, this was my experience, that you have ER teams which are across the country, you have ethics teams which are across the country, you have HR teams. So there's a lot of checks and balances, and these are not things which are taken lightly, and if found to be true, then action does follow. Yeah.
So, recently HDFC Bank got merged with its parent company, HDFC, and that was like a large merger. So, what is HR's role in those kind of mergers? How did you, as a CHRO, kind of deal with this merger?
So, very high profile merger, and for us it was very, very emotional as well, if I may say so, because as you rightly put it, it was a parent company which founded the bank. HDFC Limited was an outstanding organization, not only from a financial performance point of view, but also from the way they ran the people aspect. They had less than 5% attrition in their organization. Average tenures were 7 to 8 years. And also one needs to appreciate that the home loan product is different than other products, because here the touch points is over a longer time horizon with a person, and the credit checks have to happen over a longer time, unlike an auto loan or a personal loan that has got much shorter duration. So there's a lot of specialized knowledge that gets created along the way, and HDFC Limited was a leader in its space. So for us to get that expertise and have access to that was very important, because next to a savings bank account, the most sticky product in banking is a home loan product. And yes, people side is never easy, because it's like core HDFC Limited was 4,000 people, and bank is 200,000 people. So obviously, there's a sense of we have to work extra hard to ensure that the connects with all the people, colleagues who joined from there, was high touch from day one. Specialized learning programs, specialized communication programs, connects on a regular basis, surveys, and various fun activities as well, to ensure that the assimilation part went well. Yeah.
Interesting. I know you touched upon that you are very technology savvy as a HR function, but I'd like to know that, really what is happening with AI. Is it just a buzzword, or we are using AI-driven technologies such as generative AI, data analytics, people analytics to really, harness workforce insights, enhance decision making, or keeping the people at the center of your agility and innovation? So if you can really help us know what's really happening in HDFC Bank.
So, if I just give a perspective here, when I started work back in 88 in ITC Limited, in 89 we had computers introduced in that organization, and the promise of that computerization was that you will have a paperless office. But papers are still there in the office. But what has really happened is that it's made the working easier for people. The kind of information you can process and crunch has gone up substantially. Over time, a lot of technology enablement has happened in various aspects. And we hear a lot on AI and Gen AI nowadays, and there's perhaps uh, how much is it impacting on the ground? Take away the routine or repetitive jobs, but will it impact end to end so that you can remove a human being is the question. Because all the digital journeys also which come into play, uh, in many cases you find assisted digital coming in, where a human being is required. But also at the same time, you hear Google or some other similar tech companies laying off a lot of people because they are doing some coding on the Gen AI platform now. So obviously, as it is poised today, uh, it looks that it can have a substantial impact, particularly in areas where jobs are or tasks are repetitive and predictable to that extent. However, will it have a significant impact on headcount? And that should not be the reason for you to do it. You know, the reason for you to do it should be different. That should make you more competitive as an organization, and you should increase the productivity for people, so that they are more compelling reasons why you should be evaluating that. But so it's something we'll have to really see how it plays itself out.
So, BFSI is a highly regulated industry. Given that, what are your main HR pain points? What are those challenges that continue to keep you, let's say, awake in the night?
In my previous sector where I worked, that was telecom, that was also regulated, but obviously the level of banking is different. It is different, and for the right reasons, because banking is directly linked to the shape of the economy, and if something goes wrong in the banking sector, then it can have an
Economy would
impact there
collapse.
as well. So, between the regulatory frameworks that exist and also the governance frameworks and oversight that is there, you have to navigate that, which is important. I mean, after all, it is a depositor created organization. So, rightly so, these controls exist and they need to be respected.
Today HR has a seat in the board. So, what do you think HR brings to the table in these boardroom discussions?
I think this, seat at the table has been a discussion point for long. I think in last 20, 25 years in India, if I really look at it, post the opening up of the economy in early 90s and that era, and particularly post 2000, the fact that talent makes the difference in an organization has been well accepted. And, therefore, your capability, your competitiveness as an organization is directly proportional to the kind and the quality of talent that you have. And today, very clearly, if some organizations are able to do well, it is on the back of having a good talent, being able to retain good talent, being able to invest in them and reward them as well. Otherwise, they perhaps not stay. And so, this is something which everyone appreciates and understands today. There is a lot of talk, rightfully so, which happens in any large institution around succession, for example, because key talent flight risk is an
Yes.
important risk which needs to be mitigated. So a lot of action on that. There is a lot of focus on what are the investments that we are making at people at different levels. So it is a journey, and you have to be alert and you have to be on it.
Today when you talk about purpose for an organization like yours, you have multi-generational workforce. But the main thing is the younger generation. How do you kind of align with them, and what is that they are looking for? Because definitely salary and learning opportunity is just not what they are looking for. They want more.
They want much more, as we also did when we were young, but we didn't have too many opportunities. So they are, you see, it's a problem of, perhaps my generation had problem of scarcity, so therefore whatever little you got, you valued it a lot. Today's generation's problem is that of plenty. When you got too many things around you, it confuses you. It kind of, takes away clarity sometimes. Everyone is not a Sachin Tendulkar that you're born and this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. For many others, for most people in fact, it is to try their hand at various things and then see how it works. in BFSI, for example, there was a sudden surge in attrition in 2022, post-COVID, right? It's come down now to about 5-7% down from where it was a couple of years back. But you see, the youngster today, the argument that he or she has is that why should I stay with you as an organization? If I can get a 30% hike every 12 months, 14 months, 15 months and change the job, in 3 to 4 years I'll double my salary. You're going to give me at best 10-15% increase, right?
Sure.
That argument on financial dimension is very difficult to beat, right? And their lens is very different. They're much more conscious about what you stand for as an organization, and in many cases we hear about people have passions about climate, about so many other things, and they evaluate you on many other dimensions. So they have choices and they are exercising it, but also their world is tough because all this creates a lot of competition, and when there is a lot of people running in one direction, sometimes you have to pause and also ask yourself that where do you want to go to? What's your some kind of a career goal that you need to but without doubt, I mean, a 20-year-old today is far more intelligent and aware than a 20-year-old or 30 years back. They're much more, let's say, focused and much more less emotional, I would say. So bonding and belonging card doesn't work beyond a point. So you have to sort of make sure that you talk on career dimensions, you talk on investment, learning dimensions, you talk on reward dimensions, you talk about challenge. And
lastly, Vinay, you had a legacy career. You started with ITC, a giant in itself, and now with HDFC Bank. What has been one of the most satisfying or biggest learning opportunity for you in your career?
So yes, it's been a very, very satisfying career from my standpoint. When I started my career back in '88, getting into a company like ITC was a dream. You won't believe it, but in a institute like XLRI, they ran a 3-day process. Today, you don't get 3 hours in a campus. They ran a 3-day process, and very intense process. And I was one of the fortunate ones to come out at the other end of it successfully. And it was a wonderful experience having worked in that organization, great leaders, and terrific learning ground. But as I look back over my career, I think what has defined my career has been the learning agility. I always was open to taking on challenges of learning in a new environment, because from FMCG to IT, I was in HCL Technologies for over 5 years, then 13 years in telecom. And everyone knew what a volatile sector telecom was, and at the scale at which we ramped up, and in such a short time, was amazing. So every sector, gives you its own perspectives, right? When I joined the bank and I heard asset, so I thought, okay, asset is an asset, till I figured out it's a loan actually. That's what we call an asset, because that's what is a asset for the bank. So in every different sector, you pick up nuances. So your frame of reference, when you're looking at anything, is little different and perhaps a little wider. And personally, I always found it better to move out of a sector rather than compete within the sector with the organization that you helped create or build in some little manner. So that is what has been the characteristic of my journey. So about 2 years to close now, but 4 sectors, 4 organizations, looks pretty solid, very satisfying.
And really, your sectoral diversity, isn't that a case for inclusivity? That is why inclusivity has become such a critical agenda in organization, getting diverse set of workforce into the organization. And there is a lot of push even from external agencies for inclusivity, including the RBI, SEBI, or let's say your investors. So how are you managing that bullet?
There's a funny aspect to it first. You interview a bright person, Then you think they got all the creative ideas and innovative stuff. Then you bring them into the organization and then you tell them this is what we want you to do. So you don't let them do what they could do, but you tell them what they should be doing. Then what's the point of hiring them in the first place? So that's something which has always been a bit of a off thing there. And I think as opposed to West, one thing we perhaps don't appreciate enough is that India in a normal course is very inclusive. It just seems so natural to us in our day-to-day lives. And so in that sense, I think Indians are far more flexible, far more adaptive than I think a lot of workforces around the world. This is what my experience has been. Within that, I am very, very happy to share that diversity has been a key agenda of the bank. And we were about 5 years back, we were about 17,000 people. We have tripled the headcount to over 55,000 people. It was about 18% of the workforce. It's about 26% now. And the scores that our female staff gives us in our surveys has shot up significantly over years. And that's on back of a lot of things that we have done, policy related. For example, if you go on maternity leave, then we extend what is called as a rating protection. So whatever you got last year will stay as your rating. So if you were top performer last year, your rating will stay the same for this year. And also, flexi working, hybrid working, those kind of things, besides a lot of other policy support. And also for high potential women at mid to mid senior levels, we ran specialized programs. And very happy to share that almost 90% of the population then saw a role change subsequent to that programs. Our supervisory ratios have changed for the better from where it was to where it is now. So overall, a very, very, very good movement, solid movement, and I think that's working well for us.
Thank you, Vinay. It was wonderful to have you and to talk to you. Thank you for joining CHRO Club, and you're really leaving behind a depository of knowledge for people to go back to and access and use and leverage. Thank you so much.